Okay, so as a preface for this, don't freak out if you don't understand this. This isn't something that you have to use. It's something that would be useful to use. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to print out all of the even numbers of this list. So let's create an even numbers list. We'll create a new list of ints, even numbers. We have to give it a new as well. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to say even numbers. Excuse me, we're going to do a for each like we saw in the last lecture. And this is a nice thing that it does. It lets you, that resharper does. It allows you to just fill in this stuff. I want list, I want var, I want I. Okay. So for each variable I in list, this is an int. I'll leave var there, just so we don't get more squiggly lines. And I'll put a var here so we don't get more squiggly lines. Okay, so for each var I in list, we're going to say even numbers dot, if I mod 2 is 0, so if it's even, we're going to say even numbers dot add, and we're going to say list, we're going to say I. A little late. Okay, so for each variable I in list, we're going to add I. So this will get us all of the even numbers, right? So as my general rule, if you want to learn something in C#, hover over this guy, hover over squiggles, and let resharper change things for you. So we're going to convert this into a Linq expression. So if we look, even numbers equals list dot where. So this is quite readable. This is saying, okay, we're going to get all the elements in the list where this is true. So this is going to be a Boolean expression, and this is a lambda. So lambda is a scary word that people throw around. Also, anonymous function is another thing they throw around. As an anonymous function, what this means is we don't have a function here. We could put a function here if we wanted to. Static bool, come on. Static bool is even int x, return x mod 0, or excuse me, x mod 2 equals 0. Perfect. What we could do is we could say convert to method group. There we go. Okay. So we could say where it's even, and this makes it a little more readable for us. Now what this is, this syntax can be a little scary. Alright, so this is the input to the function, and this is the function body. You could make it larger, you probably shouldn't. Anonymous functions should probably be small. So what this is saying is in the list where I, and this is just iterating over the list. So the compiler can determine what I is. I is the integer here. So for each integer I in this list, if this Boolean condition is true, we're going to add it to even numbers. Alright? So where this is true, that is to say where the number is even, and then we're going to put them in a list. This is a little more complicated. This forces eager evaluation instead of lazy evaluation. And in short, what that means is this doesn't actually execute at this line necessarily. It doesn't execute until it has to, unless there's a to list here. So it's good to, put to list at the end, because this will get the data at this line like it says. It'll, put it into a list. So using Linq can be really, really readable. We want the even numbers to be the list where it's even. This is basically picking a subset by filtering. So this is another really useful tool at your disposal, and it might seem a little, strange at first. But we could say, we could do the same thing for odd numbers. So let's try and write this one together. Var odd numbers equals list dot, and there's a lot of Linq expressions available to you. Actually, let's get the last odd number. How about that? Last, where I, and then we'll say I mod 2 does not equal 0. See, this is a very, very small function body. So our input is I. Our body is return this, basically. And we'll add a to list here. Or excuse me, this is, wow. So last returns a single element. So it returns just one int I here. And it'll return us the last odd integer. And we could add a print and prove that, but I have more that I want to say, and I want to do it all in one video if possible. So feel free to test this. So, okay, we could have last, or we could also display this like this. So if we had multiple inputs, it would appear like this. So I, J, and they would all appear with a bunch of, commas between them. We don't. You'll sometimes see this syntax as well with a single parentheses around these, but we don't need it. And similarly, we could wrap this in a function body if we wanted to. So if we take a look, this is what is really going on right here, expanded. So really, this is just saying, full, func int I. That's all this guy is saying, right? And really, this is just a type that the compiler figures out, but we know it's an int. So again, this is what it would look like. We have a single input that's an int, and we're just returning the result of this Boolean expression. And you'll see that this works as well. You can do this. And, this is recommending that you use the full regular lambda expression like that, because it's just shorter. And that's a theme in C#, is we want to type, as little boilerplate as possible. So over here, replace with method group. Look at that. Even better, even more concise. List where is even to list. So if you, if you extract a method like that, you can just really, really make your code short and readable, just like a book. Now, if you didn't get everything, in this lecture, if you're still confused a little bit, don't be super worried about it. This is probably the only place that lambda expressions are going to be relevant to you. And it's just nice because it's readable and it's all in one line rather than sprawled across 5 in a for each loop. So keep that in mind. If ReSharper gives you a recommendation to convert to a Linq expression, try it out and see if you like it. See what it does before and after, and see if you can piece together how it works.